Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toad Live. And as usual, Toad Live will come with exciting stories, stories that are going to bust your mind exactly, stories that your mind cannot even comprehend. So we've got you covered on this new episode. So stay tuned and watch out what's next. Okay, so welcome to today's episode, and today's episode is what we've titled Behind a Smile. Yes, as usual, behind a smile. Now, some people already they have smiles on, but behind it, there is more to that smile than just an ordinary smile. So today, let's see what this behind the smile is about. And then it is about a family called the Kumsin family. And this Kumsin family is made up of that is Mr. Kumsin, the wife Rebecca, and then their little child Kennedy. So Mr. Kumsin is one man that no one, I'm sure, no woman literally would like as a husband because he was very, very abusive. He would just go out, come back so drunk, and then abuse the wife to the core. Would beat Rebecca molestly just to the core, to the extent that she would be having bruises all over herself. And then it wasn't easy for Rebecca at all because she's also a mother. And then this man could even beat her in front of the child, that is Kennedy. And then this kept on, or still went on for so many years that Rebecca was so tired of. And then she thought of opting out of the marriage. She thought of leaving the marriage for a better life sometime or someday for her. So this decision was difficult for her though because she was trying to keep her marital and moral values of not divorcing, not opting out of her marriage, thinking one day to be better. But she realized she was suffocating. So she eventually walked out of the marriage. But not only her, but took along Kennedy, very little by then. So as she went out of the marriage with Kennedy, even Mr. Kumsin did not even think of taking responsibility because he was already not even doing it. So it wasn't even a worry or a bother to him at all. Yes. But as time went on, Rebecca out of the marriage with Kennedy, she worked so much that she wanted a life for her son. So she could go hawking, any kind of job she even hear of, and then she knows she thinks she's capable of doing. She goes to do it just to make ends meet for the family. So Kennedy could have a better life. She could go out, work under the scorchy sun, sweaty all around her like that, just to feed or to put something on the table. So she did well and was not a failure to responsibility. She took care of Kennedy throughout his cycles in school, from primary to JHS to the secondary cycle. And then now she was able to gather something and make life possible for Kennedy to enter the tertiary. This was a very, very great milestone to be celebrated by the family. Her heart was full of joy that she's going to have a graduate someday. Yes, a graduate. Kennedy is going to be a graduate for her. That has been a mother's joy. So now Kennedy was able to start tertiary, went through the first year, the second year, and then got to his third year. But in his third year, that is his level 300, something so tragic happened to this family that it broke them down to the core. So what happened next was that Kennedy, after a long lectures in his level 300, had returned to his hostel. So he was in his room one afternoon. That was that day, that afternoon, and then he heard a knock on the door. And then this knock, as he opened the door, it was Aaron, his longtime friend. From childhood, they had grown, they had enjoyed themselves as much as they can, played here and there, midlife, had dreams that they shared together. So he was very, very happy to see Aaron. So he just, guys shook hands and then was like, Aaron, like, it's been long, or like, how far? So they had a little chat just for some minutes to about an hour where Aaron told Kennedy that he has to run some errands and then he'll be away for a while. But he handed a bag to Kennedy and then asked Kennedy to keep this bag for him very, very safe, and that even Kennedy himself should not open it. So Kennedy, because he grew up with Aaron, trusted Aaron as much, and then paid attention and then obeyed what Aaron had said about the bag that he shouldn't open. So Kennedy didn't also open, he just threw it on his bed. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So as Aaron was about to leave, and then he also said it again that I'm serious, don't open it. So make sure you don't. I'll be back. I'll be back very soon. If you don't hear from me, don't worry, I'll still be back. So anything, I'll just let you know. So that was what happened, and then Aaron left. So as Aaron left, it was close to 2 weeks, and then Aaron has still not showed up. But Kennedy never bothered because Aaron told him that he'll be away for a while, so definitely he'll still show up. So he didn't bother much, still waiting for Aaron to return. But because Kennedy wasn't that so curious and then wanted to know what was in the bag too was also intact in the room. He didn't even open to check what was in it. So about 2 weeks later, after Aaron had visited him, he was in his hostel again and then he had a knock on the door. So he just opened the door and then saw some policemen with Aaron himself. But this time around, Aaron was handcuffed. So Kennedy was just surprised and then asked, like, Aaron, like, what is going on? Aaron didn't talk. He was just looking at Kennedy. He still never spoke anything or not even said a word. So Kennedy still insisted, like, what is going on? So the police just told Kennedy that, okay, so they have to search his room. So they just barged into the room, searched all around, and then found this bag. Then, because Kennedy didn't know what was in the bag, so he just placed it somewhere where when you enter the room, you just find it. So these police people found the bag, hoping to also search as they were doing their job, and then found out that it was just hard drugs that was in the bag. The bag was full of cocaine. So they just showed it to Kennedy and then told him he's under arrest for the possession of hard drugs. And then he also said to them that he wasn't the one with the bag, it is Aaron. So if you like, they can ask him. But the bag belongs to Aaron. And then he tried to talk them out of it, but they still never believed him. They are not going to listen to anything. And then Aaron was just Kennedy just told Aaron that Aaron, say something like this is not my bag. Tell them it's not my bag. Aaron never bothered. He never even spoke a word. Just still silent about everything. So the police took them, and then because of the possession of the hard drugs, these two friends were put in prison. They were behind bars. Yes. So as they were behind bars, Kennedy was trying to prove his innocence. He tried as much as possible what he could do. The mother also helping on the other side for him to just come out of the prison because he was honestly wasn't part in whatever thing that went on. Then Aaron had also made up his mind not to also say anything about it. So with time, years passed, and then he was still there. They were sentenced to 15 years to prison. So 3 years had already passed out of their 15 years that they had to spend behind bars. So this time around, after that 3 years, something very, very miraculous happened. There was this guy that was dealing with Aaron in the drugs. And then he had done this for so many years with Aaron. So there was a court hearing that was arranged for Kennedy to prove his innocence again. So this time around, they were there when this guy just appeared in the court. And then what was his objective or what was his mission there? He just had to speak on behalf of Kennedy. But the reason why he's doing this, it feels like his time is wasted because of the hard drugs he has already been taking in. Because he was one of the best customers Aaron could ever have. So this man went straight and then started to bust out everything. Whatever that pushed him to, still no one knew. So he just sold himself out and then even Aaron out. And then said he has been dealing in these drugs for so many years with Aaron, that he has been buying from Aaron so many years now. And that whatever that happened at Kennedy's hostel was Aaron's doing. Aaron knew very well what he was going to do. And then for him, he's aware because Aaron had already spoken to him before going to Kennedy's place, that he's going to keep the cocaine over there because he doesn't want the police to find anything out. But that place might be safe. So upon busting out everything and then speaking out all that had gone on, he was able to free Kennedy from that misery. So Kennedy was freed, and then Aaron's sentence was increased from 15 years. And then Kennedy was also given a scholarship since his school was interrupted for whatever that he was doing. So he was compensated. An amount of money too was also paid to him for whatever thing that had happened and then interrupted his schooling and then his whole life. That almost came to a halt. So he went back to school again, was able to complete. Kennedy came out with flying colors, and then the exams, everything he passed. So he was able to do his service, and then after the service, got employed in a mining company. So this guy now started to enjoy money because where he was working, he was also faithful and hardworking. When it comes to that, you don't joke with Kennedy. So he was able to work his ways out with his dedication and hard work. One day became the manager of that mining company, and then life changed and became so beautiful for him and then the mother, that he had to pay his mother back everything that the mother had done for him. So Rebecca had a very beautiful life to enjoy afterwards. It's good she never died and then was able to stay alive. So the child was also to successful end. And then she enjoyed whatever that she had sown. But Mr. Kumsin, he was nowhere to be found. So that is it for Behind a Smile. So let's stay tuned and let's wait for what is next on the next episode. Stay tuned, and then we've got you covered.